What's going on, guys? Hype Nation News here. Nathan here. Dave, my co-host over here, coming in with episode 5 of Tapping In. Today we're going to be interviewing Onusinfo, famous leak specialist from Instagram, so stay tuned.
Hey, how does that sound?
That's actually a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good, bro. You're all good.
How are you guys doing? I'm so happy that we could finally put this together, and I do apologize for all the delays and setbacks, but I'm really glad that we're here today and that we can finally do this.
Yeah, it's not a problem at all, bro. We're doing fantastic, and it's great to have you on the show. We know that, you're probably super busy with all the leaks, running the cook group, and trying to put out as much content as possible while trying to be on, the tip of every leak possible. So we appreciate you taking the time out here, bro.
Of course. You guys already know how the grind goes.
Exactly.
It's a daily effort that never stops. Are we live right now, or is there anything else I need to know? Or
yeah, so we're actually just recording this. We're going to go ahead and just chop it up and, do some edits at the end, and then we'll upload it probably tomorrow.
No worries. I'm here to answer whatever questions you guys have and just have a general streetwear and sneaker conversation.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. So let's So from people that don't know who you are, have never stumbled across your page, obviously they're living under a rock, but go ahead and just give a brief, synopsis of who you are, what you do, what you provide to the streetwear community.
Okay, so in a quick description, I would probably say that ONS is probably just one of the lead suppliers of what we like to categorize of exclusive streetwear and sneaker information. We started our account about 2 to 3 years ago, but realistically, we've been in the streetwear, sneakers, Supreme game since all the way back dating to 2010. Our main goal, really, with why we started all of this and the whole point of ONS, which by the way stands for over and under shop, because we get asked that question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, the main reason that we started this was just for, as anyone could assume, but realistically just a passion for streetwear and sneakers, and really just wanting to share our knowledge and information with others who maybe didn't know about all these leaks, didn't know about the history behind this collaboration that may have happened, didn't know this, didn't know that. It's really just the process of just us wanting to share information and get that information out there to others, because it's a personal passion of ours. We do this as a hobby, as much as it is a small job with us running our group and being able to go above and beyond helping people. It really just started off all as a hobby for a passion for streetwear and sneakers.
And did this originally start with just you, or was it you and a couple friends? Where's the origin of ONS?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really glad you asked that. So I would probably say that ONS, realistically, taking away from the actual brand portion of it being ONS, I would say this really started going all the way back to middle school or high school. And what we kind of noticed or learned and picked up on, maybe even back in grade 7 or 8, dating back that long, or 2019 now, was just really a passion for streetwear and sneakers. But also what we kind of realized at really young ages was that in school, that even if you weren't the most popular kid, if you didn't have the best social skills, if you didn't have the most friends, was that people would always respect you for how you dressed. And what we like to say a lot of the time is, what you wear is kind of how that describes you. And people often get that twisted, and even how we're wording it isn't perfect. But what we mean by that is how you dress is how you represent yourself. And further going into that, we don't mean by wearing Off-White, by wearing Supreme, but in general, just your style. You know what I mean? Like what we've noticed, especially in 2018, 2019, the last 2 years, is that you could go to the thrift and spend $50 to $100 and pull off just as nice as an outfit as these kids who are spending $2,000, $3,000 on, you know what I mean,
some
1,000
designer
on shoes, 1,000 on the box logo hoodie, and that's just kind of really what we noticed from the beginning of all this, realistically.
Yeah, and something to that, it's like in the same fashion that people use their body as artwork for tattoos in order to express themselves.
100%.
Yeah, the way you dress yourself is an art form of yourself that allows you to, maybe express yourself beyond, what you're trying to maybe convey in normal words or just bodily actions.
100%, and you guys really hit the nail on hit the hammer. I'm messing that up, but you guys,
hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head. I got you.
Yeah. Thank you. No, you guys really executed that perfectly, and that even goes back to, like you were saying, within the high school and within the middle school days. It's just that even if you didn't have all the money for the nicest clothes, or even if you weren't the most popular kid, is that people, and we still believe this to this day, is that people will always respect you for how you dress. Because
that's true. That makes sense.
Fashion and style will never be something that will go outdated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially looking back in the last 2 years. It's actually funny. We were talking to someone about the other day, but I don't know if you guys ever watched the Complex Supreme documentary.
Yep.
Where it featured Soul Street, and I think that was a really big portion of what really further...
It kind of blew it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It really further pushed this, you know what I mean? Like, now
Yep.
we have 12, 13-year-olds watching Supreme, where
Yeah,
a couple
exactly.
of years ago, that was unknown, you know?
100%.
Yeah, it definitely opened
agree.
up the gateway for younger generations.
Exactly, and I think that it's only going to keep getting younger, you know what I mean? Like, back in 2010, there was 18, 20-year-olds, they were making a couple grand a week, but now we see these, just like what we said, these 12 to 13-year-olds, and they have their own businesses.
Yeah, they're opening
now, you know
stores.
What I mean? Like, you save up a little bit of money, maybe $500 from washing cars, cutting lawns, whatever the case is, and then it's an investment now. You take that money and you just keep flipping it and flipping it and flipping it, and that applies for every drop these days. You know what I mean? Yeezy, Supreme. There's money to be made off of everything, regardless.
Yeah, 100%. And it's all, like you said, it's just a matter of investing, and, you know, they learn a lot of good skills along the way, you know, money management, how to understand what people like. And a lot of those skills translate to other jobs, you know, whether, you know, selling an item is selling an item. It doesn't matter if you understand what a person wants and their needs, you can kind of like compress that into a different, you know, marketing utilization that they could use to start a separate business beyond sneakers, you know?
You guys are literally taking the words right out of my mouth, because you said that perfectly. And it's funny because they don't really teach you this in school, you know what I mean? They of course teach you the fundamentals, but at the end of the day, when you graduate high school, that regardless, you're going to go into some sort of business profession, you know what I mean? So these are valuable skills that you will take, and even, like, say, for example, when you're buying a house, you know what I mean, or buying your first car, like, it's all negotiating skills. This is all going to further apply down the road in life.
100%.
Yeah, and to go beyond that, you know, when it comes to all the cooks and leaks and all that stuff that it provides, you know, hunting down information, understanding where things might happen, and then kind of being able to build a community around that. Something that you've been able to do very well is not only publish these leaks, but to build a strong community in the form of your cook group, where you provide a service beyond just, you know, providing simple leaks. You do bot service and all that other stuff.
Like a big natural following.
Yeah, for sure. And just to touch on that quickly, one of the reasons that we actually started our cook group was because, I don't know if you guys were around from the beginning, but we had actually an original Instagram account at 32,000 followers. We were following around 10 people, something like that. Not that we like to brag about numbers, because it really is all about helping the community at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that account got shut down due to us providing all these exclusive leaks, these exclusive Adidas Nike information. We can't specify currently what brand actually shut us down, but it was a brand that further went above and beyond to file a complaint with Instagram. That's what actually further got our account shut down.
Wow.
So someone with some deep pockets took you out.
Didn't want their information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just really stating that's kind of why we created our cook group. And I know everyone's doing a cook group, and I don't even really want to touch on this for a long time, but it really just honestly helps us be able to provide that one-on-one support to members, where we can personally share our experience, our knowledge, and furthermore teach everyone who's in our group. But realistically, the main reason we started it is just because we can't grow another account to 30,000 followers just to lose everything. You know what I mean? Even regardless of the current information we're posting online, that's not even the half of it, which is getting posted in our group, from drop lists for Supreme a week early, collaborations a week early. We personally have exclusive access to Adidas and Nike online portal, so we have exclusive access to stock levels for every upcoming shoe. So that's really just kind of the reason why we started our group. I know a lot of people, everyone wants to do a cook group these days. Everyone thinks it's going to be easy money, but we're truly in this for the passion of just the same reason that we started ONS, to furthermore help people and help them secure these limited items for retail price, because, you know, resale these days is crazy for some of these shoes. You know what I mean? Seeing a $140 price tag and then seeing it on StockX for $1,000.
Exactly. Yeah, and everybody wants.
That's the Travis Scott Dark Mocha's reverse swoosh.
Yes, exactly. And everyone wants these items, but at the end of the day, it takes money to make money. You know what I mean? You really have to invest in yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about, losing a following and kind of that just comes from a centralization on one platform. And what you do well is you not only build a following on Instagram, you have your cook group, you have the,
Right.
building out a Twitter, and using all those multiple platforms. It's really a very good idea for, I think, resellers to look beyond one brand, to just kind of, copy this platform that we're using on social media and convert that into what you're buying. You shouldn't be investing strictly in only Supreme or only Bape or only Jordans, diversifying your revenues
There's
for
more
income.
money to be made. In
Yeah,
other
and you never
items.
know.
Yeah.
One person can pair one item with another, and then you're selling more volume by just opening up your channels.
100%. And just to quickly add on that, I think that even this example of your guys' podcast is great. You know what I mean? I know you have 2 massive Instagram accounts where you guys do the same thing of sharing information, sharing leaks, etc. But I only know a couple people who are honestly going above and beyond to doing podcasts. You know what I mean? It's even something that we personally thought about starting, because it's a great thing. You know what I mean? I think it's great that someone can be cooking dinner or you know what I mean, cleaning up around the house, and they can be at the same time learning and teaching themselves by listening to these podcasts, by listening to all the information shared, and just further going above and beyond with like you said, expanding the brand to different platforms. After I know you guys that we all just experienced the recent Instagram outage the other day. I think they said was the longest in history of Facebook, but it was we were out for like 8 hours or something. You know what I mean? And just with that, like you said, when stuff like that happens, and just for the obvious reason of you wanting to branch out, like it's great to have like what you guys are doing, a podcast, or to have a Twitter, or I even know some accounts are now going further to reach above and beyond to creating Snapchats. Like I think it's really important that you don't just put all your eggs in one basket, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%, because then that leaves you super vulnerable. And it's
exactly.
And it's nice to, the reason, talking about this podcast, what we want to do is provide value beyond just, simple quick flips. We want to teach people kind of the essence of being able to spot a trend, see what's hot, grab it, flip it, and compartmentalize that into just everyday learning.
And especially like you said, how it's starting out with them just getting younger and younger now, so it's like it's easier to just be able to just jump on. At least there's something like this with the platform where you can go and listen, at least learn about it, so you know what you're doing too.
100%, and it's funny because we even crack ourselves up. We're still learning daily, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
We'll be researching something, and we'll be like, oh wow, we didn't know that. That's really cool, and that's just kind of the half of it, of the reason why we do it, is because it's always something new that you're learning, you know what I mean? It's always new information that we're finding.
It's just always changing.
Yeah, exactly. And just to go further and above and beyond that, I quickly just wanted to touch on the topic of information these days. Currently, I think that the whole Instagram, and it's great, I'm not going to knock anyone's hustle for creating an Instagram page and sharing information. I think everyone should be doing it. But the biggest thing that is kind of a little pet peeve for us is that it's the amount of incorrect information that's being shared online these days. From personal experience, sometimes we take up to 2 to 3 hours before, like, specifically researching a 2001 Supreme collaboration. You know what I mean? We now have and I guess you guys actually asked this at the beginning, but we actually have a team now. So originally it did start with ONS, and then slowly over time we curated a team of like-minded people like us. But
because all that content, you need someone to start going through it and fact-checking.
Exactly. And you guys keep taking the words out of our mouth. So like we said, so we'll research something for 2 to 3 hours, and then we'll go above and beyond to ask our team, hey guys, did this release? Is there any way that anyone could double check this for us? Because I think that right now we're pretty known and pretty respected within the community for providing information. You know what I mean? We don't like to create a what we call clickbait posts. And just to quickly note on this, I think it was really funny, and we won't mention any accounts names, but recently there is a leak that went online, and I think it was a blue version. You guys might have seen a blue version of an off-white Vapor Max.
Yeah, blue-white. It was a spin-off of the Virgil Abloh Air Force Ones that are supposed to...
But just to further quickly touch on that, like all these accounts were posting it, like 100,000 followers and what else. But what was funny about this was that shoe and wherever this information originated from was actually a custom from a year ago. That someone just took, and not sure for whatever reason, if it was they wanted likes or whatever, but they posted it, and now it was a rumor that this was supposed to be releasing later this year, which is completely inaccurate. The 10 collection is now officially done, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it ended with the Air Max 90s.
Yeah, exactly. So
or 97.
It just kind of, like, it makes us just laugh a little bit what people are now doing these days for, I don't know if they're doing it for the likes or whatever the case is.
100%.
Like, because we don't want to knock anyone's hustle of creating an account. I think everyone should do it, but it's just the fact that you guys, like, whoever is doing it, you really do have to take your time and do the research and put in the hours, you know what I mean? And I think that's currently one of the reasons that we're so respected online is because we do that. We don't post fake information. We don't post clickbait information. Everything is fact-checked, double-checked, etc.
And to speak to that, you know, when it comes to Instagram content, I've noticed it's all about speed. You want to be the first person with the most accurate leak, and that's how people blow up. Like, I know Supreme.leaked, he kind of blew up from the original Fall-Winter 17 leaks or Fall-Winter 18 leaks, and that's what's kind of accelerated his career. But when it comes to, you know, a fake leak going around, most people don't have the time or don't even care to have the time to fact check it. They're like, they saw it, they need to get it on their page, so they're number 2 out of the like 100 people that repost.
Exactly, and it's funny you say that because specifically for the, I know you guys must have seen the Supreme X Nike collaboration that was announced today. So for that, and like we said, this is a small business for us, but still it will always be a passion and a hobby at the end of the day. But we actually had our alarm set for 6:30 a.m. Just specifically to post the Supreme X Nike news and then go back to bed and wake up later.
That's how it works, though.
It's just dedication like that going above and beyond. If you really want it, then you have to be dedicated. And it's just funny like that because some people won't do that, you know what I mean? But for us, we truly like to consider and we will never say it like that. Like I know some people post it in their bio or whatever, but we personally like to consider ourselves one of the leading suppliers of streetwear/sneaker information. And to further go into that, correct information, because like you said,
authenticity matters.
There's so much fake information posted online.
So I mean, we've got a little background. We understand how your page works. Is it cool if we talk about some upcoming drops and just get your, pick your brain about them? Yeah,
for sure. I'd love to go into it. Whatever you guys have, let us know.
Okay, perfect. So I would say most people have been talking about today specifically. About the limitedness of Yeezys now with the CEO coming on saying they're releasing 20 new pairs this year. Do you think the Yeezy hype is going to come back, or do you think Kanye's kind of destroyed it too far that, your best investment is a pair of Jordans?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because this is information that we already have like in our group that we don't share online, but to go above and beyond and share some exclusive information is, I don't know if you guys knew, but a couple of months ago there was a feud online with Yeezy Mafia, who we obviously know is the leading supplier of Yeezy information and release dates and leaks, etc. They were actually having a feud with Kanye West. I believe it was to the point that Kim Kardashian had actually made a tweet on Twitter calling them out, which further ended up in them losing their account, or they had their Twitter account suspended for almost nearly a month.
They had a lot of trouble going on when everything was happening with that.
So further going into that, we're going to share some exclusive information. Kanye West actually works with Yeezy Mafia now. After all that happened, it got to a point where Yeezy, they basically said, hey, listen, we control the market, we control the hype. And I think Kanye just kind of finally understood that is the reality of it, you know what I mean? Kanye's not going online tweeting the dates. Kanye's not doing any promotion behind the Yeezys. It's very rare that he even mentions them. So Yeezy Mafia actually works with Kanye West now, and they actually said,
crazy.
This is exclusive information, but they actually said a couple weeks ago that they will be bringing back the Yeezy hype in 2019, and we really truly do believe that they do control the market. You know what I mean? A million followers on Instagram and just specifically
and growing daily.
It makes complete sense though, because even like you said, it's like how they're the ones who built the hype for it. It's completely true because that's the Twitter. Everybody for Yeezy Supply drop days before. I mean, now it's kind of like every single time they drop, that at 3:11 a.m. Eastern time they're coming on Yeezy Supply. But before that, it could have been. It said random, so it was like. People didn't know, so you'd go to that Twitter and you'd have it set for to notify you when it's up on Yeezy Supply. But Yeezy Mafia would always post it 2 minutes prior to it actually going up, so you knew they had some kind of in with like either Yeezy Supply's site or Kanye himself or something. That's the only reason I kind of figured it could have been something like that. But also the way that like they're keeping that hype in there, and they have their clothing line now too, that Mafia season clothing line.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that was a huge thing for the, like I feel like that was probably another reason Kanye probably reached out to them, because he was like, your clothes are selling more than mine. He's like, let me get in this.
Well, let's not forget, like, even though Kanye's freaking crazy, man, that
he's a
dude,
genius.
he's a good ass businessman.
He's smart.
And when you see that there's a fucking page right there that's gonna promote your shoes that you sell,
come out of that.
This is what I think is gonna happen now, because influencer marketing is kind of taking off. Kanye's obviously made the first step.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna start seeing more big brands that give leak information. You know, Supreme and Supreme Leak News,
like Sup Community,
and Sup Community, all those people. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot of brand-specific leak pages start collaborating with brands in the future.
100%, because like it's even going out further out of the streetwear and sneaker realm, is that influencers control everything these days. You know what I mean?
Easily.
Like
people are so opinionated, and they go to other people for specific
look at
views.
the Catch Me Outside girl and stuff. It's like anybody in the world you like say that phrase to or something, they probably know of like who she is at least, but it's just because that like she could be up on like some kind of social media platform promoting something, but that's what like the kids would look at. That's what they'd see, you know.
100%, and like what we honestly say is that if you're a business in 2019 and you do not have an Instagram account, then your business is not going to take off. And sure that's to a certain extent, but everything is social media today. You know what I mean? Like you see all. We just watched an interview with the owner of Young and Reckless, and he was saying like, if you really want to get your clothing out there, like you have. I believe he just did a deal with Supreme Patty. You know what I mean?
I saw that.
Paid Supreme Patty to make I guess this promotional video for the brand, and gave them all their clothes. But it's really the influencers who are further pushing the brand. And going back to the Yeezy thing, if we actually go back to StockX and we look on StockX at about maybe 3 to 5 months ago, when this whole Kim Kardashian Yeezy Mafia thing happened, you will look at the Yeezy prices and they were significantly down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Josh Luber, the CEO of StockX, he was actually asked about that, and you know what I mean? The Yeezys were kind of dying for a point there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, almost going for retail on a lot of recent releases.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of them were retail, and some were going for like almost under retail, which was the thing.
Exactly. So the further to go back to your original question of how do we think Yeezys will perform in 2019? It's really hard to say. Like it's obviously a completely different market than Supreme, where we can predict Supreme and see what's going to happen.
Yeah,
we've never had 20 new releases in 1 year, you know what I mean?
And one line of shoe.
100%. But if we say, let's say for this, so 20 new shoes, let's say Yeezy Mafia controls the entire line. Do you think these shoes are going to be super limited and increase in value?
So that's the thing, yeah. So watching, because we went back and we actually watched the original interview with Casper, the CEO of Adidas. That's what is actually what he specifically said. He did say that there would be all these new models, but he did say that they would be very limited stocked and that the production would be very much lower. Yeah. And it's kind of funny, though, because if we go back to when, I guess, the original release of the creams about a year ago, Kanye was actually the one, if you remember, who said, Yeezy's for everyone.
Most democratic Yeezy.
Yep.
Most democratic Yeezy.
He wanted everyone to be able to have a pair.
And I think it was because we were in a completely different time. When the Yeezys originally released, there was such a hype to them. Like, it was such a crazy phase. A fanatic of people going above and beyond to pay $1,000 for the shoes, you know what I mean?
And it was the first of its kind. It was so futuristic compared to everything else out.
Exactly, and it's funny if we take the example of the semi-frozen release.
Exactly, yep.
I forget the original stock numbers for those, but I believe besides the restock for them, the original release to this day, they were still one of the most limited produced.
Yeah, it was low. I think it was in like a couple. It was very low.
Thousand.
Yeah.
And we know people who personally, because I don't know if you guys remember, but the day of their release in New York, there was videos of people leaving the Adidas store and getting robbed for their shoes. either robbed for their shoes, or those who weren't able to get their hands on them were paying $1,500 cash.
As soon as you walk out the door.
As soon as you walk out the door. Like, there was resellers waiting on the block because they knew at that time that
they would
were only going to go for more, which obviously didn't end up happening, you know what I mean, due to the restock. We're looking at the prices now. I would have to check Stock Expo, what they're going for, like 400 to 600 now. Like, that was a complete, that was a little bit of a complete fail there. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, people were being robbed in NYC for their shoes in broad daylight with NYPD down the street. Like, that's crazy. That should just tell you that the culture is on another level.
Exactly.
That point, you know what I mean? Like, this isn't a normal Supreme drop. But it's actually funny because we actually wanted to just mention something quickly. In about, I want to say 2012, 2014, on a Supreme X North Face, the release, you could actually walk into the Supreme store at around, let's say, 11 to 12, 11 a.m., 12 p.m. You could walk into the Supreme store without a ticket, without signing up, and you could purchase a Supreme X the North Face jacket, specifically the leopard print jacket, which to this day is one of the biggest rail jackets. And that right there should just tell you how much the brand and culture has been changing over the last few years.
Yeah, because now it's a security line.
Oh my God, it's a security line.
And it just keeps getting more secure, like, every year. Like, they just keep trying to make it better and better every year.
It's something crazy to the level that it's on. And it's funny because another little information piece will drop is that drops by Jay, like, Supreme drop lists were never leaked before. It would always be that you would have to either be in store at 11 or be online at 11, and whatever you saw that you liked, you would have to purchase. There was never any drop lists. There was never any leaks. You know what I mean? That's how the brand works. Drops by Jay only actually came into the scene around, I believe, 2012, 2014, which, by the way, he's a great guy. We talk to him on a daily basis, and we work with him pretty frequently. Great guy. But Supreme drop list never, like, it just shows how forward and how different the brand is changing and moving in this direction. That, you know what I mean? There was never drop lists. There was never leaked items. If you wanted the item, you had to be there at 11, and whatever you liked and that you saw, you were purchasing. You know what I mean?
And I think the reason, like, we're seeing more of this information hustle is because there's been a huge exploding in the reselling nature. You know, not just specifically sneakers and streetwear, that's always been there. But I think reselling in just a general sense. Like, people have started to learn about reselling on Amazon, reselling on eBay, you know, reselling on Craigslist. And I think that kind of nature of entrepreneurial reselling game has given people insight, thinking of these as more of an investment and a literal business behind it, because, you know, people like 2Js have been able to do it. People like Band LA have been able to establish brands around it.
Exactly, and I think just the first to add on that is that everyone is trying to capitalize on Instagram these days. You know what I mean?
100%.
How often is it that you go and click on someone's story and it isn't a swipe up? You know what I mean? And we're notorious for this too. But like everyone is selling something. Everyone is promoting something. Check out my brand. Buy this. You know what I mean? And that further goes back to, like you said before, if you're a brand in 2019 and you do not have an Instagram account, then you're doing something wrong.
You're losing money. You're leaving money on the table.
Exactly. You're losing free
promo. And I think there's even further been like data analysis of this, is that like some brands, 60 to 90% of their sales are from social media, from Facebook ads, from Facebook marketing, from Instagram story promotions, from influencers marketing the product. You know what I mean? It's crazy how much business has changed overall just within the last couple of years.
Yeah, because to scale a brand now, being able to, let's say, going back when you were first starting a brand, something like this, it would either be through word of mouth, or you would have to pay for a radio ad or a TV ad, and that's going to cost you a couple $100s for a 30-second clip. When you can go on Facebook, make an ad, and have people literally watch it for free. 2 cents for 2 cents on the dollar, and you can rack up 1,000 views of people that actually watched your video.
Exactly, and that just further goes back to what we mentioned before with the brand Young and Reckless. They've been in business for 10 years now, and when we were watching their interview a couple of weeks ago, just because it was a really great interview, definitely recommend everyone to check it out. But what they were saying is that back in the day, like 10 years ago, if you wanted to get your brand on, if you wanted to pop, what they were saying is that you would have to send it to, like, send free clothing to a celebrity, to a TV show, and you would just have to hope that they would wear that. And it would get exposure through, you know what I mean, through the TV show, through a music video, whatever the case was. And it's just crazy to see how much marketing alone has changed over only the last 5 to 10 years, which really isn't a long time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, things are evolving fast.
Yeah.
Like, super fast.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting from here just to see where the future will take us with all this, you know what I mean? Because every day it's only further continuing to grow, you know what I mean? The culture is only further changing so rapidly now, you know what I mean? So it will be really interesting to see now where we'll be in 5 years from now.
Like, if anything, it's just getting crazier.
Crazier, and it's funny, and this is, I guess, a little secret we'll let you in. Everyone wants to be a reseller these days, right? Can we agree on that?
100%. Yeah.
So everyone wants to be a reseller these days, and I think if we go back, like, maybe 4 years, there was money in that, you know what I mean? There was money to be made because the reseller market was so exclusive. Not everyone was doing it, you know what I mean? We didn't have these 12, 13-year-olds doing it. And it's funny today because someone mentioned this to us. If you want to make money within the streetwear/sneaker community, the money isn't in being a reseller. The money is selling to resellers.
100% in the bulk.
That's just a little note right there. You know what I mean? Because the market is so oversaturated of the knowing of everyone thinking that they can go and buy a Supreme box logo for $54 and flipping it for $1,000. You know what I mean? That's as much as it is realistic. It's not like those days and times has changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And even just going to looking at Supreme stock level, like it's different 2-3 years ago. Like the stock level for Supreme has only drastically increased over the last years. And that's something that Supreme will never actually officially announce. You know what I mean? We even talked to Jay. We tried to bug Jay for the numbers, and it's just something that they'll never put out there besides, like, accessory items. You know what I mean? There's 200 pinball machines produced there.
Yeah, when they're super limited.
Yeah, when they're super limited, when you can literally count the accessories on your hand.
Even the BOGOs, like, you can tell just by the quality from this year that
the crew necks, for sure.
Like the quantity was increased just because of the, like, quality of the BOGO itself. You could tell. Not that it seemed like it was rushed through or something, but you could definitely tell that there were more produced and less time was taken than it was prior.
100%. And even, like, it's funny because, first of all, we just like to put this out there, is that we really don't like using StockX. Just since it's been out from the beginning, we're not a fan of their algorithm. It's hard to say because it's great for what they do for the community. It's great that they set this market price that people can refer to, but at the end of the day, it's completely inaccurate. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I don't think everyone actually knows how they run their algorithm and how the platform is actually ran, but the prices at the end of the day are completely accurate. And you can't really go above and beyond to say that StockX killed resell, StockX helped resell, because it's kind of mutual in the middle. But it's funny today, like today or last night, we actually went on StockX to look at the box load of crew necks, just out of general curiosity, and they're going for $500.
Right.
Which is dirt cheap for a BOGO.
That's mind-blowing.
It is.
$500.
And then you look and you see how many have been sold, and it tells you how many have been sold in the last, like, couple days or so, and you'll see, like, 150 or something. And that's you know. It's honestly mind-blowing. Right.
We would go back even a couple years, and typically, like, we would say that crew necks and hoodies are probably, like, crew necks for a while were a grail item, you know what I mean?
Compared to, agreed.
They only released so often. And
exactly.
It was the majority of the time that we would see hoodies and t-shirts, but when we see a crew neck, like,
it was way more rare.
Yes, it was a way more popular exclusive item, and obviously we don't know the stock levels, but it seemed like there was almost like 60,000 boxes of those this year, you know what I mean? Like, it was crazy, and that just reflects on the StockX price of what it's at, and that just kind of gives you an idea of the production of how much it increased this year alone, you know what I mean? Obviously with Supreme, as you guys know, collaborating with Carlisle, that has definitely made a big change. I remember actually reading that article, and James Jabaya, the founder of Supreme, said something along the lines of, to be able to keep moving the brand forward and do what we wanted to, we had to collaborate with Carlisle. You know what I mean? They really needed that extra money to be able to.
Because it was a nice chunk of cash.
Oh yeah, it was. Because what the brand is evaluated at has to be over $1 billion by now, because that $1 billion number was about 9 months ago or so, or last year whenever the deal happened. I'm not sure the exact date. But yeah, they got a nice chunk of change, and I think that money was only further used to go to like what we already have So this was actually interesting. Just I'll quickly go off topic and note on this. Previous to the Brooklyn store opening, which was in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, a Supreme store would only open every 4 years. You know what I mean? It was a very rare thing. You would even have people taking off weeks of work to go fly out. You know what I mean?
Just
from
for
Canada,
the
just for the opening.
Yeah.
Just for the opening. And now this year alone, currently we know that there's 4 Supreme stores planned to open in the future.
Yeah, can you name those 4? What is it? San Francisco?
Yeah, so for sure. We have the San Francisco store. We have the Berlin store.
Yep.
We have the Milan store, and then this is a little exclusive information that only people will know who watch the podcast, and that we posted this exclusively in our group that others don't know, and this information hasn't been shared. There will actually confirmed be another a number 2 London store opening.
Oh, that's
cool. Information that hasn't been shared yet or posted online, but there will be a confirmed London store opening. So that's 4 right there. You know what I mean? And that's a little mind blowing to us.
Just for 1 year.
Yeah, we'll probably see those stores open up over the course of the next 3 years, but compared to what we were saying before the Brooklyn store, we would only see a store opening maybe every 3 to 4 years per store. You know what I mean?
Do you think that'll decrease the value of Supreme at all, or if anything, do you think it'll increase it?
I think it's going to open it up to more people.
Because it'll open the market.
Yeah, for sure. So we're laughing a little bit because it's kind of a hard topic to speak of. And this kind of goes, you kind of have to relate to StockX to this, but if you look back at the FW18, Fall Winter 2018 season, which was the season last year, at the end of the season, there was nearly half the items for under retail price on StockX.
Yeah.
Half the items, you know what I mean? And that's pretty mind-blowing. With Supreme opening all these stores, obviously Supreme will still be alive for the next 10 to 20 years, you know what I mean? It's not going anywhere anytime soon. The brand is only going to go further expand to more countries. It's going to be more available to more people. But in terms of specifically speaking about resale, I definitely think that the resale is slowly dying.
I agree.
That could be for multiple factors, though. Obviously, the brand is blowing up, you know what I mean? It's crazy. We see these pictures of online, you know what I mean, of 12-year-olds wearing $2,000 Supreme fits. It's crazy. The availability of what Supreme is now, and obviously that's partially due to Bump app, to StockX, to Grail. It's so available now to get Supreme, you know what I mean?
I think Go ahead.
You're saying?
Oh, I was going to say, I think it'll just start to get to that point where it's one of those things where you just kind of have, like how you said, even though the stuff was going for under retail the season after, it's one of those things I feel like you just have to get those certain items and then you just got to hold off on it and then wait and just let it gain some age with it. And I feel like it'll kind of get to that point where the older Supreme items, if you're that person who still has a dead stock, I think those might turn out to be your best reselling points in the future. Yeah. Rather than starting to get all the new stuff.
100%. And just adding to that, at the end of the day, people ask how do you know it's gonna click? You know what I mean? How do you know what's gonna do well? And
because history.
We've been in this everything. We've been in the whole community since at least 2010. So now we just have an eye for it. But an item that we noted to everyone online was that the recent collaboration with Supreme X Stone Island. That vest is a Grail item, okay? That will be at $1,000 before the end of the season.
It already was,
If like you said, I believe size smalls are already going for $800, $900.
Yeah, and then even right after the XLs were going for $1,000 because there were only a few up at that time, I think, which made me wonder. I figured the quantity maybe was a little low for the larger sizes in the vest or something.
Exactly. I believe the lowest produced item from that collaboration was the backpack, just due to it being a Supreme exclusive item. Because as we know, we saw the other Stone items hit the Stone Island website.
Yeah.
Which is very rare for Supreme. You know what I mean? That only happens for select collaborations.
Yep.
Yeah, usually
example,
Nike too.
Yeah, we have Supreme X Nike this week, which I believe there's already a confirmed sneakers release for this Saturday. So obviously that does take away from the resale a little bit, but something to note on, and we got a million questions about this from members in our group, is that everyone said, was the recent collaboration with Supreme X Band-Aid? You know what I mean? Everyone said, oh, these aren't going to be profitable. Oh, I want to sell right away. You know what I mean? I want these on our hand. Everyone in our group and just whoever asked us is that we 100% recommended everyone stock up on as many as possible and just hold them for at least a year, because that's something that's another grail accessory. You know what I mean? There's such the retail price was so low. What was it, $4 to $6?
Yeah, $4 to $6.
Yeah.
The retail price was so low, and at the end of the day, just if you're able to read the community and just read Supreme in general, that you know that will be a grail and a collector's accessory within only a couple of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because inventory for DS is going to run out with people using them.
Exactly, and you said that perfectly. And that's what we were telling everyone. Everyone's going to be using these. Everyone's going to be flexing on Instagram with them, putting them to school, and then you know, when they come a year when all of them have been used up, you know, I mean, you can't save a Band-Aid and put it back in the box.
Exactly.
That's only going to further increase the demand and increase the product value. Another example of that was the last season Supreme X North Face travel wallet. If you guys remember that, it was the little
expedition wallet,
and they were like $30.
Yes, exactly. So that was another item that if you could read the market and that if you knew, that was another grail. You know,
right?
Come this summertime, that's going to easily go for over $100.
100.
That's something else that we told everyone to stock up on it, and it's further going above and beyond, so you can go later in the season. The upcoming Supreme X Hot Wheels collaboration.
The Hot Wheels done
easily.
Hot Wheels are already a super collector item.
As soon as we saw that was like one of those things too. We were like, oh my god. We're like, dude, Hot Wheels.
And we already know that that's going to be at like a low retail price of I think.
Probably like $12.
Yeah, we collaborated with Joe Magnin this year. I don't know if you guys saw on our page. We did an estimate of all the Supreme accessory prices. I believe that was like from $12 to $26. But that's something to saying to you guys, or just anyone who's actually listening to the podcast afterwards. That's an item that you're going to want to stock on. 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, easily.
And the thing about Supreme now is like you guys said, is I think you have to be very selective with what you buy, but it's also just having the eye for the market. You know what I mean? I'm going above and beyond to say right now, and even you guys can just tell. But yeah, that Hot Wheels collaboration is going to be another money item, another grail accessory, and to everyone who's new to Supreme, like the amount of people who are saying like, I'm just trying to get these Band-Aids off my hands. Like, listen, we say to everyone, sell them to us.
We'll buy them a couple bucks above retail.
We'll buy them all, because they're just going to sit in the back of the closet for a year, and then, like you said, when people start using the items and they start damaging the items, and the product only becomes more scarce and limited. Listen, man, those prices are just going to skyrocket.
Like, even with the cough drops, there are, like, I mean, when they first came out, people were selling them for like $5 a box, or like a couple dollars, you know, just over retail. And now people try and sell them for like
$20,
$5 for like, or 5 boxes for like $100 and stuff, or like 2 for $75.
Exactly. It's funny you mention that, because that also goes back to the Supreme gift. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the Supreme toothbrush that released
the free gift.
Yeah, exactly. So that's actually now reselling for like dead stock in plastic for $50 plus. And that was a free gift that came with orders.
Or the this was like from fall winter 16, I think, probably. But yeah, I think it was fall winter 16, at least 2016. It was when that season.
So there has been a little time pass, but to put that in perspective of you buying an item from Supreme, getting this free gift, and then, like, I know for a fact we have we must have 10 to 15 dead stock Supreme toothbrushes.
Dang.
You know what I mean? That are just
sitting in a Tupperware bin in the closet.
Sitting in the Tupperware, and that we're not even going to think about touching for the next 2-3 years, because those will hit $100 one day. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to believe, and you kind of have to have the Supreme knowledge and a little bit of the history of the brand to know stuff like that. But if you do know stuff like that, like, these are 100% long-term investments that will pay off at the end of the day.
And that's so what someone said to me one time, which I thought was really interesting, which is a really good thing, a really good takeaway. When you're, reselling in the industry, especially when there's a lot of saturation in the market, you're either first in and first out, or you're last in, last out.
Yeah.
Because you have to flip right away for that high spike for people that take the L right away, or you have to wait for all the dead stock people to get out of the way. That way you can charge for whatever you want.
Exactly.
And I hate the connotation of everyone online saying, oh, it's these, like, we're in between, because it is partially true, but it's not even really accurate to say all these 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds bricking the market. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's literally what's happening. It's these kids who are borrowing their parents' credit card, and they think like, oh, we're going to make $100 off this $10 item, and then time comes to them receiving the item in the mail, attempting to resell it, and they're stuck with the item for a month because they're not getting the price they want, which makes them further put a lower price on the market. You know what I mean? And I think that happens with a lot of people. There's still such a connotation of, oh, I can buy Supreme for this cheap and sell it for this much, but that's not the reality of it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's like we were just talking about. It's all about select items these days, and just knowing what will sell and what not. With like the Supreme Stone Island vest, with the Band-Aids, with the Hot Wheels car, with the cough drops. Like it's all a very selective process right now, and you really do have to do your research about the brand to see what will happen in the future with these items. You know what I mean? Like the Supreme Band-Aids, that was something great. That will never release again. You know what I mean? That's 100% a collector's item.
That's what I figured too, and it was only in U.S. too, which makes it even more limited.
Yes. Thank you for adding that, and that's a really surprising that it was only in U.S.
I was surprised too.
Yeah. That was really shocking, because like we know from previous seasons that like Supreme typically releases a knife and a Zippo.
Right, and that's for us
every season, and the knife typically does get restricted, but that's for obvious reasons.
Exactly.
Customs, because it's considered a weapon typically. And I believe it's only considered that they actually measure the blade length, and if the blade length is more than a certain, like, the required or allowed amount.
Yeah, I think it's an inch and a half, because you can send little Swiss Army knives.
And there's a funny picture that we're going to try to post later today, just because it popped in our head. There's a picture of Japan Customs. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was the Japan Customs officer, and they opened a drawer, and there was 60 of the compensated Supreme knives. To Japan, and they were just like, it's an amazing picture. We'll try to post it later today.
That's crazy.
But it was 60 knives sitting in a customs, like.
I bet you that was like 2 guys.
You would have think like, listen, if I was there, I'm dipping my hands in them.
I'll grab a couple. No one will know.
Right.
That's how many knives there were. But quickly to add on to that, I don't know if you guys also remember and it's funny to what qualifies and not. After seeing that the Band-Aids were U.S. exclusive, like, unless it was a production issue, there realistically should have been no reason that
they weren't there
in U.S.
Right.
But it goes even further beyond. If you guys remember a couple years ago when Supreme dropped the collaboration with the barber clippers.
Yep.
It was the razor, whatever, and that was actually only a U.S. and Europe exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. It didn't release in Japan. Which there's not really a science behind that. I wouldn't really consider that a weapon. Like it's almost so Supreme is so funny, because like you really have to go and be above and beyond to look at the brand, and it's even like, I don't know if you guys ever played Call of Duty back in the day, where they had Easter eggs in the map.
Hell yeah!
Oh yeah.
So like, unless you know what to look for, Supreme constantly dropped Easter eggs this season. The example of that was with the locks they released this year.
In 1994.
On all the locks came with a combination preset to 1998, or I believe that was the year, and that was when Supreme, like, because now we're celebrating Supreme's 25th anniversary this year. That was actually when Supreme opened the store. So it's almost a bit too coincidental. You know what I mean? Like, Supreme knows what they're doing. You know, they know their market, but it's so funny seeing. Like, just seeing that the preset combination was one, that's pretty crazy.
It's the little things that count.
One of those,
exactly. And it's what makes up the brand, and even furthermore, going into like how we had the poppy seeds a couple seasons ago. That was like, this is a little bit of a stretch, but from what we were told from our sources was like that was supposed to be a little hint of a new store opening. You know what I mean? Like, kind of type of
plant the seed. Oh,
yes,
okay.
Plant the seed, and
that
I
makes
forget what it was,
sense.
if it's either California or San Francisco, but the poppy seed is actually like the national flower or something along the lines of that. I'll have to go and look it up. But so
that is cool.
Yeah. So then you hear that and you're like, people were like, poppy seeds, like, what the fuck, you know?
What am I supposed to do with this?
What? You know what I mean? And there was obviously people who made, like, Kais Omar made those funny videos, like, I don't know if you saw it, they planted the seeds in the ground, and then a Supreme tree popped up with, like, pox.
Yeah, with bogos.
And that was really funny and creative. But it's even, like, if you really go above and beyond to actually look for it, like, small things like that really do make sense, because otherwise Supreme would have never, like, they would have never been like, listen, we released the poppy seeds for this reason, you know what I mean? Like, no, that's not accurate.
It's just a little hidden thing that they're gonna do, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's those little stories. Everybody loves a story, you know. That's why comic book one of ones, like the very origin story, that's why it's always the bestseller. That's why it's always, because people love the intro. People want to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Exactly, and I think that goes back to just like everyone having Instagram and social media accounts these days. What we notice online is that everyone, like, it's a lot of copycat content. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's posting the same thing, but in a different variation with a different mock-up or a different caption. So with our page, that's what we go above and beyond to do. Like, I think that we're pretty known for
original organic content.
Like the
originators. Leaks or unreleased content. Like, we want to show people the stuff that's not being posted online. You know what I mean? Like, even sometimes we find content about Supreme, like unreleased samples, and we're like, oh wow, that's cool. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we want to specialize in, is just providing that content that isn't being posted online, that people don't know about it. You know what I mean? Like, we like to consider a page that more so that we teach people rather than just posting content, you know what I mean? Rather than just trying to get likes, so that we actually try to educate people on the brand, on the history, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't look at, is what even, like, why is Off-White hype? It's because Virgil Abloh, this incredible guy with creativity, you know, business aspects and all this other influential characteristics that allow him to build brands like that.
Or like even just his entire background, like his whole upcoming and stuff. People have never looked into like any, like you're just speaking in general, like designers in general or just brands in general. Like no one looks into their upcoming and stuff. It's like when it becomes
how they started, you know,
in this 1 year, like when everyone's, it's like trending, let's say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that's when everyone's just like, oh, it's cool because it's cool. It's not like you know why it's cool. It's like
you're a fair weather fan.
Yeah,
100%. And it's so funny that you guys mentioned that, because I believe a couple of months ago, Off-White was actually voted, and whatever agency does it, but they were voted as the most like popular brand of 2018.
That's fair. That's fair to say.
And under that list, you saw brands like Gucci, Nike, Adidas, like these companies who have been around for
huge
50 plus years. You know what I mean? And Virgil has been able to curate this brand to be the #1 most popular hyped brand in the world in under 3 years.
Right.
Like obviously that comes into account with now we have social media, like everything is
of course. And just like the way he promoted himself.
You can't discredit the man.
That man works.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it's not like it just happened in a year.
Yeah, that man absolutely, he works his ass off.
Yeah, like that took so many years of work prior just to even come to that point, is the thing.
Exactly, and it's crazy. Like, if you follow Virgil on his social media, 'cause, you know what I mean, everyone's posting themselves stories. Like, you can basically follow someone's whole life now on social media on a daily basis. Like, that guy doesn't sleep, you know what I mean? Every day it's something new. Every day it's a new project. He's in the studio.
In a new country.
Whatever, late times at night, you know what I mean? Like, that man is on his grind.
Yeah, and that just speaks to it. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. Talent doesn't beat someone that works hard.
No, that's never going to change. And the same thing with creativity. You know what I mean? Virgil's such a creative guy. Like just the Off-White Nike collaboration alone, like I think that just blew up Off-White. You know what I mean?
That 10 collaboration was insane.
Yes, exactly. And that could also be said. Like we could also agree that by the end, yes, it did get a little oversaturated. You know
I agree.
Like some people would say that. Like we even saw the prices drastically drop. You know what I mean? Like we only consider like the OG models now what we call an exclusive, a rare shoe.
The OG 10.
Anyone with $400 can now go on StockX and buy a blazer.
The Halloween blazers.
Yeah. Or even the
Air Force Ones.
Yeah, like those the desert ores and the black ones.
Yeah, and that just takes away from it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it goes back to, like, even Yeezy. Like, I remember when the first Yeezys released, like, it was fun to stay up all night to try to
get them. Yeah.
There was adrenaline pumping through your veins waiting for it.
Hitting refresh when you're on that password page.
Exactly. I remember it would be 12 a.m. and we would just keep refreshing on Kith. And then Kith dropped the Yeezy and you would have to try to check out. And then the next drop was at 3 a.m. And then the next drop was at 6 a.m. Like, it was so much more of a, and I can't even speak for others. I know that other people love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
people love the thrill of the hunt.
It's that rush. And then when you do get it, you're like, oh.
It was if you wanted the shoe, that you had to be dedicated to
exactly.
it. You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted it, you had to stay up late. And that's kind of what I felt that put the hype on the Yeezy, because it didn't allow just everyone to get it. You know what I mean?
It kept it
exclusivity talks.
It was so limited. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Connie saying, "Oh, Yeezy's for everyone."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exclusivity is definitely a huge takeaway, and I think what a lot has changed is, you know, we've moved 100% online, so a lot of the original sneakerheads, you know, guys that are like in their 20s and 30s and 40s when we're like 10 and they're still copping Jordans and stuff, they're used to camping out and putting in the work of standing outside a building. You know, we're on a different type of hustle, we're online, but like you said, you know, sitting in front of your computer at 12 a.m., then waiting for 3 a.m., you know, then it comes at 10, then 3, then 4.
And it's so funny you mentioned that, because, like, we actually know, and I don't know if you guys know Rax Hogan. It's Rax. Famous. Yeah, so he would say, like, it was fun camping at Supreme. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you would get your weed, you would get your alcohol, and you would all...
And you just go chill in line.
Skateboarding on the street at 3 a.m., just, you know what I mean, turning up, and just in that environment of being with people who all have the passion to secure the items. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand, obviously, the brand has changed. It's so popular. Like, you can't really store campouts anymore.
No, it just gets too violent.
It
would be 1,000 people down the block. You know what I mean? Exactly. It would be too violent. So
because the Canary Yellows, I mean, look at that. That didn't even release, and it got, you know, the Pigeon Dunks, and how you just talked about the Yeezy release went crazy with the Frozen Yellows.
Yeah.
Exactly, and even like you said, like the SBs that released that Complex Con this year, like I remember people saying like there was a riot. People were literally shaking the whole booth, like shaking it.
Yeah.
There's a video, I think, because there was only like 150 pairs for those. The Nike X Diamond yellow SBs. Yeah. And I remember all the pairs came in on a cart, and they had to be, all the pairs were like, after only 40 minutes, were police escorted out of the building. You know what I mean?
Dude, you would have to. SWAT team.
There was videos of 4 cops walking around this trolley of all these boxes, and just these sneakerheads following them. Like, that's crazy.
That's dedication. That's dedication.
Those were flipping from like $1 grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those
crazy amounts.
Yeah, those were going super high after. Yeah.
But it's also that reason that there are riotings. I mean, like the
Soulflies?
Yeah, the Soulflies, like that riot. A lot of that's what's causing big brands.
Crazy too.
Because what happens when a riot happens, no one blames the mob of people. No. Everyone blames the brand.
Yep.
Exactly, and it's so funny because this just goes back to how fast information travels. Like, I remember there was a video on Twitter the day of the release, and it was some guy he was well known in the sneaker community, and he tweeted a Soulfly address, which ended up being a troll, and you literally saw people sprinting down the street, and the guy who tweeted the video was just laughing, videotaping everyone. You know what I mean? Everyone.
That's such a dick move, but it's so funny.
Because it's just like you said though, like
they're gonna come,
and it's like no one's doing the fact check for it, so it's like once they see it, that's it. They believe it,
that's
so they're gonna go.
Exactly, but just to quickly add on to that, like. It's crazy how fast information travels, but it's also scary, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that no one, like, going back to the Blue Blazer match, the fact that no one knew that was a custom that's been out for years, and there's these pages with, like, 50,000, 100,000 followers posting it, and then you see them getting, like, 20,000 likes, and you read the comments, and you're like, people are like, oh, I can't wait to get this, and it's like what's going on here, you know what I mean? Like, this was literally, the guy who created the custom commented on the post saying like what are you guys talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
I made these. Yeah.
Bro, I was high and drew this up.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that just further goes back to like the misspread and so much information that's inaccurate online. So that just further goes back to what ONS tries to do, is just provide accurate information to our followers and to the community. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people are just creating posts these days just for the sake of creating posts.
The same thing happened just recently.
Just for the likes, just to, you know what I mean? Without even taking the time to do the research, without even taking the time to see the history behind it. You know what I mean? Like it's funny because there's a Supreme archive page online, and you can actually, sometimes you can, we'll forward the link to you guys afterwards, but sometimes you can actually read like what collaboration we can expect from Supreme. For the last 8 to 10 years, like from what we were told, that there was actually the Supreme X Undercover collaboration was supposed to be announced today, and that actually is 100% confirmed to be releasing later this season. But if you look back at the Supreme history, the last almost 8 to 10 seasons, I know not the last 2 years, but the last 8 to 10 seasons, every week 4 drop, there's Japanese collaboration. You know what I mean? And people would clearly not know that without doing their research or without knowing the brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you can, it's actually really interesting because like often you can actually read what will be releasing this week for Supreme or kind of get an idea to what's coming. But people won't even go above and beyond to take the 5 minutes to do that. You know what I mean? They just want to throw out the post there and get the clout, get the likes, etc. But that's the day and age we live in 2019. So.
I was surprised to not see the Vans drop within the first week or second week also, because usually I feel like that's something pretty common that the Vans drop on like week 2.
Yeah, so it's like, and I hate to sound like that person calling out all these accounts and just being negative, because that's completely what we're not trying to do. But at the same point, like some people have to be held accountable for this information. Everyone said Supreme X MDA was going to drop week 1. I don't know if you.
No, I did. Yeah. I did see that everywhere too.
Everyone said that Supreme X MDA was going to drop week 1. If anyone took the 2 minutes to do the research, you would know that nearly every week 1 drop is always a shoe collaboration, which, like you said, it would have either been Nike or Vans.
Exactly. I would have expected the Nike or Vans. Exactly that. Yep, that's what I was thinking.
And that's just further going to someone taking the 5 to 10 minutes to do the research, but people really aren't doing that. You know what I mean? And I hate to say this, I don't know if it's a lack of common sense with people in 2018 or just like you said, like the brand is growing so fast. There's so many people in it now that people are just, you know what I mean? They read the information and they believe it. You know what I mean? Like you could tell everyone we could make a post now saying Off-White 10 collections restocking tomorrow, and
everyone would believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And people would be ready with their boss, ready to cop.
100%.
But I guess that's just the day and era we live in. You can't do anything about it. But that just goes back to what we try to do on our page. We want to provide people with the most accurate information possible, and just being able to get that information to be out there, you know what I mean, and get it wide known to everyone. And that's really what we try to focus on at ONS, and just providing unique content at the end of the day. That goes back to even our style. Like, we don't, personally, our style and how we dress is we don't want to look like anyone else. And that doesn't mean like wearing the craziest, most obscure outfits, but just our general style, you know what I mean? We don't want to be wearing what everyone else is wearing. We like to personally look unique. We like to look different. We like to have our own style, our own fashion sense. And that just further goes to even with the content we post. We don't want to be posting the same content as everyone else. Everyone's doing resale predictions these days, you know what I mean? And that's just something we don't have an interest to put out. And just quickly commenting on that, for a majority of it, and the biggest thing with that is that I know no one actually goes back, but if you go back afterwards, look at a lot of these resale estimates, they're nowhere close to the original predictions.
Yeah, because everyone said the best would work.
And I don't know if that's because like people are new to the community or they're not taking the time to do the research, but at the end of the day, how we look at that is it's almost just like people lying to their followers. You know what I mean? If like these people took their time the other day to hit the follow button, regardless if that sounds silly or not, like you guys should realistically be doing your jobs to provide them with accurate content.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just the biggest thing, and just something we really wanted to touch on, because there's just so much inaccurate and misinformation being portrayed online. So that's what we personally try to do at ONS, just provide the most accurate information and unique content at the end of the day. You know what I mean? We want someone to read our post and be like, oh, no way, that's crazy, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And that's often why you see us posting so many exclusive samples, unreleased pictures, like all this cool stuff. Like we just want to get that content out there and share it with people who might have not known. You know what I mean? Like going back to what we said before, with our page, we really try to also focus on not just posting content, but educating people.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, what's awesome about a Snapple is you get a fun fact at the top of the lid.
Yeah. That's a great little example right there. But no, that's honestly the main thing that we try to do with ONS, and it will be really interesting to see within the next few years, like what will will resell, like, because obviously it's so hard to predict, but will reselling still be alive in the next few years? You know what I mean? Looking back now and seeing half of last season's items selling for under retail, and even like we even see items this season, like I don't know if you guys like the week one drop, that pussy logo jacket that was like a crazy Supreme imprint, like that's already on StockX for under retail, and that was like an extremely hyped week one item.
People were selling them right out of the store during that week for like $350.
Exactly. So like I think like in general, for this community, I think that we can definitely expect lower resale prices to come, but I also like we can only hope that with the Yeezys and upcoming releases that obviously stock is going to be higher, but we can only hope for special releases that it will continue to stay low. You know what I mean? Like it's very rare that we see a drop with only 500 items. It was actually pretty cool today. We had the Kith X Adidas release, and Ronnie Peak tweeted late last night that there was only 1,000 pairs per colorway. You know what I mean? That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah, you got to bring back the limited.
Yeah, and not to say resale is gone, is dead, but that's what we need in the market.
And that's what drives hype, even if resale is dead.
You can't just keep flushing out just a giant quantity, because that's what's going to kill it.
Exactly. Everyone's a reseller these days, so if you really want these products to flourish and to really hit their full potential, is that you like the brands themselves need to be providing low stock levels. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's just what it's always going to go back to. How limited is the item? Because at the end of the day, it's who has this item and who doesn't. You know what I mean? It's almost a subtle flex of I have these off-whites and you don't. But even off-whites, like we saw production numbers this year at 60 to 80,000 pairs. You know what I mean? That's
a lot.
Pretty high. That's
high.
Pretty high for a shoe release. You know what I mean?
Especially for a collab like that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even going back to how we saw the 350 static reflectives, like Mafia, whatever, they said that there was only 6,000 pairs produced, which then we further heard from Adidas factory sources that it was actually 42,000 pairs produced.
Yeah, which it had to have been.
Yeah, because
you saw how many people got those.
Got them, and the resale was so low. Yeah, so you knew people were just dumping them.
Yep.
Exactly. So we can only hope for, with these 20 upcoming new Adidas releases and new Adidas models, is that, like the CEO said, that hopefully the stock will be low, because I think at the end of the day, that's the only thing really saving with Yeezys this year, you know what I mean? Even at the end of the Off-White night collection, like, everyone just was like, listen, this is oversaturated. Like, obviously we're going to still buy the shoes, but there's too much now, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Everyone has a pair, and that's what makes these items pop, is going back to, I have this and you don't, you know what I mean? You can't get your hands on this. This is something that if you want it, you're going to have to spend $1,000. You know what I mean? That's what contributes partially to all these drops, to all these releases, to all the total resale of everything is going back to how limited an item is.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I think it just goes back to exactly what you said too with the Supreme stuff. Not that it won't resell anything. I think it's just that you have to be selective with what you're getting. You know, I think like it's still going to be items that resell, but it's not going to be everything. Like like you're saying, how all these kids are thinking they can come in, buy like an item for $10, sell it for $100. It's not like that. Like, you have to know what you're getting, and like you said, it's when you've been doing it for a while, you kind of have that eye for it, which definitely helps. And all these people who are coming in don't have the eye for it, or aren't even doing the fact check for it to, like you said, give the 5-10 minutes to get a background of the item, to have some kind of knowledge for it. So, you know.
Exactly, and that just goes back to, you know what I mean, the market has changed so much drastically over the years. Now everyone wants to be a reseller because it's portrayed that's so easy, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Especially with Supreme, that you can buy this hoodie for $140 retail, you know what I mean, and then sell it for $500 or whatever the case is. Like,
and that just makes the resale price go down even more, because then there's even more people who are doing it. and trying to do it, and then they realize that they can't sell it for that price, so they start selling it for the lower price, and then it gets set at that like at StockX, it'll say, oh, this one sold for $143, and this was $140 retail. It's so much harder to get that back up to like a $200 resale price at that point.
Yeah,
exactly, and I believe personally that reselling is not going to go away anytime soon. Like in general, reselling, it's not going away. You know what I mean? Everyone loves to hustle. Everyone loves money in their bank account at the end of the day. But I think it's just going to further transform into different areas and opportunities. Like I know something that's really popular now, especially in all these cook groups and Discord groups, people are doing sports betting. Like that's something that's really moved into the streetwear and sneaker culture, regardless of people have been doing it forever. But also like that's really been integrated. But as well as that is people are now ticket reselling. So they're buying like tickets to concerts or tickets to shows, and then they resell them online, which is almost a complete profit margin because you're not dealing with any shipping. It's
all you got to do is email it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all It's all a digital space now. So I don't think reselling is going to go away anytime soon. I think for specific brands like Supreme and Bape and all that, well, I don't even really think Bape resells anymore. But for brands like that, I think there's always going to be reselling there. But I think that people, because this community is never going to go away anytime
That's
soon.
the thing,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
It's too big.
If anything, the collectors are just getting older.
They're getting older, and I think people are just going to move on to new methods to find money. You know what I mean? Only recently,
new brands will keep popping up.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's funny. Like we've been on the watch for FTP, fuck the population.
Dude, me too. Yeah, I want them to release something so bad because ever since the DC collab, they haven't really announced anything.
Exactly, and I believe there has been a lot of leaks. I believe we're due for a collection late March 2018.
That'll be good.
Even like what Joe Maiden said is that like with Supreme slowly started his collection, slowly building it. FTP is another brand that you want to be on the lookout for.
100%, dude.
Over the last year alone, like seeing how much they've grown and their growth, like we could easily see it, and people think we're crazy when we say this, but we could easily see it up there within Palace range in a couple of years.
I think it'll pass Palace, honestly.
I could honestly see that. A big thing about Palace was that people really commented that they keep reusing the designs and colors over.
They just stick with that like London 90s vibe almost, like surf
exactly,
style.
And that's fine to do. Like obviously, a brand is not always going to be able to come up with something new or something brand new. They're going to need to go back to originals, but it's just you still need to be producing new content, whether you have to hire new designers or whatever the case is, because people are going to want to buy the same repetitive thing over and over again.
Or just do more collabs, because then you can rely on the other people or the other collab to do all the design work.
They also
and they really haven't done like their collab.
The Ralph Polo was the last big one.
It's really small compared to Supreme, where we collab every week. You know what I mean? Like the most notable, like what Adidas and Ralph is all we have to put on the list for Palace. That's notable.
And Adidas isn't even that limited because they do it with Adidas so much.
Exactly, and I believe from what we've told, we're already supposed to see 3 confirmed Palace X Adidas collaborations this year. Which is cool. Which is cool, but we want to see like
someone else.
We want to see the Palace. You have the power. You guys have the
right?
The community's already there.
Who is it? Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill works with them. Like, dude, they could have ins with so many people. And Jonah Hill's like best friends with Kanye West. So why don't you like try and get a little shimmy in there and just see anything? Just like get some design ideas or something. But
Palace is definitely Jonah. That's a good point. Jonah Hill is now an quote-unquote influencer for Palace, and I think that's only further helps the brand. But going back to what we originally said, I think influencers control the market right now, you know what I mean? And it goes back to funny, we've had this conversation with other people, and I know we're kind of getting over the hour mark here, so whenever you guys gotta go, whatever the case is, just let us know. But with Supreme, if you look at the history of it, Supreme has never sued a bot company. People may ask why is that, and the partial reason is why that is because Supreme needs the bots. You're not checking out 7 seconds manually, you know what I mean? Regardless of how fast you are with your keyboard, Supreme, that's what makes the brand have those 10 second, 5 second sellout times, you know what I mean? And that further goes back to why Supreme has never sued a bot company, because like it all comes into play of making the brand what it is, you know what I mean? Without all these bots, the sellout times would never be that low. I mean, just not physically possible for people to manually enter all their credit card information, like regardless of autofill. It's not a possibility at the end of the day. So I think that's what all contributes to the brand and the hype. Like it all plays a part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seeing those point, when it's like under 5 second sellout times, you're like, that's the item I need to go for.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that's just kind of a whole summary of everything. I know that it's ever past an hour mark, so if you guys had any other questions you wanted to ask or whatever the case was, I know you guys are probably busy too today and have other things to do, but did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to kind of touch on? I don't really want to go too...
Yeah, I think you gave us a absolutely plethora of knowledge for our viewers, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast and answering all our questions and taking the time. But I think other than that, we're all wrapped up over here. It was awesome to talk to you, man.
It's really
I honestly, I really enjoyed the podcast. I really enjoyed the conversation with both you guys. I think what you're doing for the community is great. You know what I mean? We actually personally watched the Sold by JC podcast. Great guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The early Connect plug. That was another amazing podcast where he supplied a vast amount of great information. And I think that you guys should honestly just really continue with this. You know what I mean? Like, podcasting is honestly something we even want to get into. We don't currently have the time, but I think it's great to be able to talk about this on such a public platform like YouTube or wherever it's being posted that anyone can just go and click it. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're cooking dinner, you're eating food, and you can just listen and learn at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because there's so much important information shared in these podcasts. Like, regardless of ours even watching the Sold by JC, like, we even learned something from just hearing him speak. So I really appreciate you guys.
That little tip he gave where you could get sneakers basically auto-legitimized by just posting it really low on GOAT and then buying your own listing. I never knew that, and that's something that I use pretty frequently now.
Exactly. It's just small pieces of that you wouldn't have learned without this podcast. So I think that it's a great thing that you guys are doing, and I think that it's definitely something that you should continue with, and I can easily see this blowing up sometime soon, because there's not a big space for this. There's not too many other people doing this exactly, and I think it's really great that you guys are reaching out to all these brands and having all these brands and pages and people like Sold by JC on your podcast. Like, we were really appreciative that we could finally schedule something and do this, and it's honestly been a great conversation. So we really do thank you guys for that, and please do continue with this podcast, because it's definitely going to blow up very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. That means a lot coming from you. Yeah, we appreciate that 100%. Yeah. And we'll let you go, but we want to continue on with doing this podcast and maybe have you come on and do another couple sessions with us.
I think that would be great. We'd honestly love to come back on. So let's definitely set something up in the future. And for later today, we'll let you guys enjoy your day. But thank you so much for everything once again. And we'll definitely be in contact soon. I really do appreciate the time of day that we had to set up this, guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, brother, we're going to let you go.
Yeah, no worries. We'll talk soon, okay, guys?
All right, peace, brother.
Have a good day.
All right, bye, guys. Have a good rest of your day.